Right, so one of the more valuable questions that we can actually ask when we're looking at data is actually written out here in this question, which is when does population, or when does what we're looking at increase or decrease increase or decrease the most? And the range in what we're looking in here is the 2-year period. So between which 2 years? So not a 2-year period, but between which 2 years did the population increase the most? Okay. Based on the data in the table, predict the population of Los Angeles in the year 2020. Justify your prediction on the lines below. Okay. Well, I want to say here, I'm a little frustrated because they're unclear. When they say between which 2 years did the population increase the most, do they mean sequentially? In other words, so here's 1900 to 1920, 1920 to 40, 60, 80, and 2000. We're going up by groups of 20. Does that mean I go from 1900 to 1920 and compare that from the next increase and the next increase and the next increase? Or does that mean I can pick 2-year ranges and then compare them? That's a little unclear. So I mean, if I could pick any 2-year combinations here, of course, I would say from 1900 to 2000. That's the biggest increase over this whole course right here. But I think they mean which 2 sequential groups here in the years did the population increase the most. So in other words, which 2 groups of years that are next to each other, so 1980 and 2000, 1960, 1980, 1940, 1960, 1920, 1940, 1900, 1920, did our increase happen the most? And here my strategy is just to say, well, how much did it go up? Let's write that down. So from 0.1 to 0.6 is an increase of 0.5. From 0.6 to 1.1 is another increase of 1/2 or 0.5. Then we go up 0.7 to get from 1.1 to 1.8. And then we go up 0.5 again to go from 1.8 to 2.3. And then we go up another 0.5. And that's millions, of course, so that's 0.5 of a million or half a million. So looking at it this way, the biggest increase was from here to here, 1940 to 1960. That's because it went up the most, 0.7 of 1 million. And then it says, based on the table below, predict the population of Los Angeles in the year 2020. There are many ways to argue this and to predict what would happen. We could follow the same pattern, but really we can average them out, or we can say, well, it tends to go up 0.5 each time, and I would stick with that. Just because here you're making an estimate. Anything could happen with the population. So since it's going up 500,000, typically is what the trend is here, except for this era right here from 1960 to 1980, right? Maybe because of the baby boomer generation. That seems to be an exception. Oops, the exception again, I'm sorry. Not there, but 1940, 1960, that was the biggest increase. Except for that group, the trend seems to be 500,000 for every 20 years. So we should go up from 2.8 up 1/2, or up 500,000 from that number, which gives me what? Gives me 3.3 million. And I'm just going based on what the most typical increase was for each year. I feel like that's a pretty good approximation of what the population will be in the year 2020. Hope that helped.